Time for a visit, I'll be there.
Okay,
I'll be
7
part of
o'clock,
the team.
guys. Time for the open session.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Now, once again, we want to reiterate, asking questions and talking out loud and all this before the meeting is over. No one will be able to do that tonight or any other night. Until the meeting's over, then you can have your say, questions, or whatever you want. Got out of hand last month, and I apologize to anybody that I offended using a bad word, which is not my style. I'm sorry about that. Not going to happen no more, though. So, everybody got the package of the minutes of September's meeting? And we got any questions on it? By the way, Juju called me. He's working late. I don't know whether he's going to get here on time or not with your ice cream. He couldn't get it too late.
I tell you what, you know.
That and 1,000 each, Mike.
Yeah, well, I'll bear with you.
Any discussion on the minutes? If not, I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion first, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passed. Treasury report. How are we looking, Rocky? KIA is now closed out. All that money's gone. Hi, Josh. Cool. Mr. Walking Tall himself. How you doing, brother?
I'm still here.
I'm glad.
That's a good thing.
That is word.
Jim, where we closed that out, that was with that 51,000, right?
Yeah, when we wrote that check out.
Yeah, how come that check is made out to the order of cash?
Because we did it as cash, Cookie and I both had to sign it, and then they generated us a check to Carrollton Utilities.
Yeah,
I don't know why they
I've
do it
never
that way.
seen one done.
Well, the other ones that we did for Frontier Days, those said cash also. But they automatically generated a check for us that said Carrollton Utilities with the amount, and then we mailed it to Carrollton Utilities. I don't know why they did it that way, but.
Anyway, it's closed out. I mean, it's.
I've never seen it made like that, usually made out to 120. And then the 4 is on there too.
Well, we didn't have actual checks for that account, so we had to go to the bank and kind of do like a withdrawal, and then they created a check for us. So, that's right. I don't know why they put cash, but we didn't receive any cash.
That's the way we did it up there on Western Road Aid, pay that Hawthorne bill. They had to make us a special check. We didn't have no checks for road aid. They wrote road aid on it. That's how we paid it. Good deal. Okay. Y'all got a copy of all your bills, deposits, bills. Need to pay them, look them over, and if you got any questions on them. Oh, I'm sorry. Treasury report, you got that?
What did we pay Ed for?
I'm sorry?
What did we pay Ed $151 for?
We got a check here. I talked to Josh about it. It was,
part of his collect fund that was left over from his, because the way that is done, it's usually a quarter, not a quarter, but half a quarter behind. So when the check came in, it came in the name of the Glencoe city, however it was made in the city of Glencoe. And we tried to deposit into our account. Auditor said no, it has, because it was issued to you all, it it had to have come through y'all. It was his last one. And we thought we could just
Yeah.
deposit into the sheriff's department account and then pay him, but the auditor said no.
Then we just wrote a check out
I
too.
was just wondering if I seen that.
Josh brought it back to us, we put it in the bank, then wrote him a check. So,
And that got him called up.
back to the Treasury report, I want to get a first and second motion on the Treasury report. Y'all look it over. Any questions on it? We still got the 2 CDs. You see the general funds.
I'll put a motion and pass it. First motion.
Second. I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. And moving on to the paying our bills. Y'all looking at them? Any questions on them? That's positive.
I take it the check to exit 62 is for gas for the Jeep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
You and I,
yeah, Lisa and I did that. We didn't actually drive the Jeep, but
you were doing all the runs for errands for supplies for Frontier Days.
At that point in time, the water pump was about ready to come out of the Jeep, so I took it out of service.
So
The
you had
Jeep
to-
is fixed now, so,
Is that what Kentucky Motors is? And
AutoZone.
yeah.
Yeah.
it all went on the Jeep.
Actually, the Kentucky Motors one was part of the brake deal. We did the rotors and distributor and all that other different things that we did to the Jeep. From the Ford, we had that discrepancy with the Kentucky Motor bill, the check last time, so that's straightening that out.
Okay, anything else?
You just done a bank draft on AutoZone. How'd you do that?
Finally, when I went up there and got that, I finally got hold of a manager to give us one of the tax ID numbers to where we start saving the tax thing. So,
If you're not, we need a motion on the pay the bills.
Motion.
Got a motion, second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Now we're going here, in old business, we're going to have a second reading tonight for the ordinance. You want to read that, Alicia?
Sure.
You want to drink water?
Well, I think
If
we gotta,
anybody wants to take a nap or something.
I think you gotta have a motion first, Jim.
Motion to read it? Motion to read for a second? Yeah, you're right. Need
make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
And according to KRS, we can go ahead and vote on this tonight, after the second reading. And we'll have to vote by a roll call, so each person will be, their name will be said by Ms. Veronica, I'm guessing. And then you'll say yay or nay, and then she'll record that in the minutes. And it's important that we we actually have each person's name and their vote in
Okay.
minutes. Okay, concealment of, or removal of property. When the collector believes on reasonable grounds that any person owing a tax is about to conceal or remove his property from the city, he may immediately collect the taxes in the same manner provided for the collection of delinquent taxes, penalties, and interest. Exemptions. Manufacturing establishments shall be exempt from ad valorem taxation for a period of 5 years after their establishment and beginning of business as established by 37.19. Tax incentive. All manufacturing establishments hereafter established within the city shall be exempt from city taxation for a period of 5 years after such establishment and beginning of business as an inducement to their location within the city. Conformance. Except when otherwise specified by statute or ordinance, the collection procedure shall, to the extent applicable, be in conformity with the laws regulating the duties of the county sheriff. Liens. The city shall have a lien after date of assessment on the property assessed and on all other property of each person for all taxes due by him to the city, which lien shall not be defeated by gift, devise, sale, alienation, or any other means. The city shall have a lien on the property assessed following the date when the taxes become delinquent, and also on any real property owned by a delinquent taxpayer at the time when the collector offers the tax claim for sale, which lien shall not be defeated by gift, devise, sale, alienation, or any other means whatever, except by sale to a bona fide purchaser, but not purchase of property made before final settlement for taxes for a particular assessment date has been made by the collector, shall preclude the lien covering such taxes, and said lien shall include all interest, penalties, fees, commissions, charges, and other expenses incurred by reason of delinquency and payment of the tax bill, or in collecting, or in the process of collecting, and shall have priority over any other obligation or liability, in which lien shall be of equal rank with that of the state. When any proceeding is instituted to enforce the lien provided for in this division, the lien shall continue in force until the matter is judicially determined. You all following me? The tax lien may be enforced by distraint of personal property, by suit as for debt, by action to enforce the lien, or by summary sale of tax claim. Distraint. All personal property owned by a delinquent taxpayer shall be subject to distraint at the discretion of the collector until the tax claim is barred by limitations. The collector shall sell for cash as under execution such part of the distrained property as is sufficient to fully satisfy the claims, shall give credit on the tax bill for the proceeds received. Personal liability. Ad valorem taxes, together with penalties and interest, shall be a personal debt of the person liable from due date until paid and may be collected by suit. Suit to enforce lien. The procedure in an action to enforce a tax lien shall be the same as an action to enforce a mortgage lien. Sale of tax claims. Delinquent tax claims shall be subject to sale by the collector any time from February 1st after the delinquent date until the claim is barred by limitations. And finally, exonerations. Before a sale of tax claims, the collector shall produce to the city council a list of such taxes as he regards erroneous or uncollectible. The city council may exonerate him from collection of any such claims deemed erroneous or uncollectible in their judgment.
Everything is entirely. The second reading has been read, and we can vote on it according to our book tonight, and we will do that by roll by name of each individual, which I will start with Charlotte. Or you want to do it?
It doesn't matter.
I want it in the record that I object to the voting on this because you already have one on the books. You have not done anything with the law that's on the books. So consequently, if you pass this, everything that's in the past goes away.
No.
According to State
You can
Attorney
get to it
General's
after
office.
the meeting, Steve. I'm not
Okay,
going to allow no
okay.
talking in here until we get done.
Well, I want it in the record. I objected to this vote.
You want to vote?
Oh, I think I'd like to hear more about this.
Think what?
I'll go no.
You vote no? Lisa?
Yes.
Mike?
Nay.
Yes.
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 What do we got?
We have 3 yeses and 2 nos.
The ordinance passed. It will go in the paper. So when it goes in the paper, does it become, well, I guess it becomes law then.
As long as our copy is, back here with the ordinances.
All right. And new business, Halloween time, where we, hope you got anything planned for that, or you, I know you feel bad, honey, you feel okay?
I'm okay. We had talked about putting a sign up out front about the ghost thing. I didn't know if we need to bring it to be voted on before we did it or not.
So what's that now?
The sign for the tax, boo, boo, taxes are due. Did we need to have a vote on that before we actually put the sign up? That's the reason I haven't made the sign yet, because I didn't know if it needed to be voted on or not.
No, it don't have to be passed.
No.
City.
Okay, all right.
For
I'll make sure on that.
decorations.
All right, and then Halloween, we're not doing anything, but the Glencoe Trading Post, the 29th, I think it is, they're having, they're gonna have hay rides, they're gonna have booths set up, people can come around, churches can set up for free. They're gonna have hot dogs, candy, and I think they're gonna have like a little area set up where kids can trick or treat just around there. So I told them I really appreciate them doing something for Glencoe for Halloween, because if I did Halloween, I'd be dead too.
Well, what
So,
about just giving out candy here at the city building? How do you help out with that?
and that's
It's
on
on the
31st.
We do it that way,
Okay.
31st Halloween.
Well, at that same time in Warsaw, having,
I don't,
Yes,
I don't know.
68, I think it's what the paper said.
oh, we kinda wanna go along when
Yeah.
they have the same
Right.
time.
but okay. And do you wanna go on to the Frontier Day results?
When's the Trading Post doing
I
theirs?
think it's the
It's
20,
the
20,
29th.
is it the 20th? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I also, remember I was gonna make that basket, the scrapbooking basket that I didn't get to.
Yeah,
Well, I'm thinking about setting that down there, I'm not gonna promise, cause it depends on the weather.
okay,
But I was gonna raffle it off for the activities,
okay,
if you want me to.
that's cool. If you want to, yeah, appreciate it. So she's donating the scrapbooking stuff too, right?
What's
I
that?
said you're donating the scrapbooking stuff too. This lady, I'll tell you what, Frontier Days,
I'm
without
trying to clean my
her,
house out.
without her, we wouldn't have had half of what we had without her.
By the way, on Frontier Days, you wanna report on that?
Yeah, we started out with $500 and some in the bank, and now we've got we got $1,037 something in the bank now, and that's paying the bands a total of $800, all the trophies and crowns and everything, and so we're that much to the good.
That's all expense and everything.
Everything's paid, we're not in debt for anything or anything like that.
Well, from the weather we had,
I know,
Yeah.
that Friday night, I thought it was all gonna die. I mean, it was so wet. People was trying to fill out their papers and it was ripping and everything was so wet.
that's the first time I played guitar with gloves on.
Well, you sounded good. You couldn't tell the difference. But I think, like you said, I think everything turned out really well for the weather we had and the time of year. We tried having it later in the year like everybody wanted, but we're going to be talking some different avenues and try to figure out something else for next year.
Yeah, up in August or something.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, like I said, and what amazed me was, and it hurt a little bit too, everybody in Glencoe kept saying they wanted it. There's more people from Warsaw here than
Yeah.
there was Glencoe. I was so surprised. I was happy for them, don't get me wrong, but it really surprised me that I had more Warsaw people here than I did Glencoe.
Yeah,
So,
Saturday was a pretty good day.
yeah.
And the committee reports on the news committee, Mike, you look like you're getting something done, coming down.
House is
here.
coming down, and you got that taken care of down there at the other area.
Yeah, 101 Grace Street. We met with the people, actually, we went down there, the guy called us. The bank hired him to clean it up, tear it down or whatever. He looked at it and he called us, he said, that's too big a job for me. So he said, and we got the name of all the contact people and the bank who owns it. So we told him, he asked who we use. I said, well, Sonny Ryder up here, he's close, and we've used him quite a bit in town for knocking down houses, hauling them away. So give Sonny his number, and they were supposed to contact each other today. So hopefully that place will get tore down. And like I say, we got the phone numbers and names of the contact people at the bank and all to deal with them. Who's going to take care of the property if it's torn down?
How big is the lot?
Huh?
How big is the lot?
It's
It's a long lot.
Yeah, I'd say it's over an acre.
What worries me, there's an old LP or gas tank back there, maybe.
There
20 gallon
should be a
tank.
name on that.
It's empty, but that's when it's dangerous.
And there should be a name of the company. Usually
Yeah.
they rent them out. And
I looked on that thing, I couldn't see no name.
There's
I
no
went
name
back
on
there,
it.
and
Name
weeds
on it?
are higher in this building.
It may have been there so long that,
They forgot about
I'd
it.
say if you call Feral Gas or somebody, they would probably be more glad to come. I don't know who's.
Get somebody to haul it out.
In town that, they'd probably dispose of it. Because there's a lot of companies they sell to that rehab those tanks. They'll sandblast them and refurbish them.
These people right over here might do it.
What color is it? Was that silver?
Huh?
Is that a silver
White.
tank? Usually the company's got their colors on them.
It's white,
Is it
just
white?
like it's been painted. I mean,
That may be Farrell's.
it might be, it might be. Well, we can find that out, you know, maybe, or call them and ask them if they have a tank there, if they got a record of it. You notice this building here has come down, it's all the way down, just ain't hauled away yet. He finished that up today. What?
Are we gonna keep the Halloween time the same as Warsaw to vote on?
I think we should, don't you? Yeah. I read it in the paper in Warsaw. Yeah.
Put a motion in for it, do we have to do that?
I don't think we have to put a motion in for that, do we?
I really don't know.
For Halloween?
For what?
For the Halloween
Time.
time, keep it same as Warsaw. I mean, that's just a trick or treating.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Is there an opposition?
I
I
wouldn't
mean,
think
that's
it'd be
so trivial.
Well, I'll just say, I'll take first motion on it, let's just do it.
Yeah.
Second.
You just-
Okay, who's that motion, Joe? Second it?
Charlotte.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed. Halloween will be the same as Warsaw, trick or treating that is. And, let's see. Any more committee reports? I think, Anthony's on the water deal, sewage, Rick, you got anything on the sewage?
No, we haven't had anything to discuss.
Okay. Nothing on the water. Finance. Finance, the, Pokey and the Veronica. We still got money?
A little bit.
Okay. The bills are paid, and we still got money, so.
Yep.
Well, we got checks, I don't know about money. As long as you got checks, you can write it, can't you?
We got money.
Okay. Okay, okay. Alright, any of you guys got anything to say? Charlotte, Lisa? Any of you council members bring up?
No?
We want to welcome Josh Neal here. God love him. He had us praying and everything else, and boy, you're a lucky man, but I'm proud you're here, Josh.
Glad we're still here. I want to elaborate on something that was, they're going to have the second reading at the fiscal court meeting, is that the sheriff's department, over the years, has failed to lack of doing this, but from now on, the sheriff's department, after the second reading, will start billing for accidents somewhat like what your fire departments do. It will be a soft bill only. It will not be an aggressive bill. Because what it is we're having a lot of tractor and trailers that are losing a lot of steel, and we're tying up an officer 2 and 3 and 4 hours at a time. That's mainly what it's for, but the ordinance and the way it's written is that I have to bill for every accident. So if somebody approaches you, tell them to call my office, you know, and then it's taken care of. Okay, it's not something, we're not going to put the burden back on our citizens, but we are having a lot of accidents, and you know, once this comes out in the second reading, I just want everybody to understand. And if they don't understand it, by all means call me, come to the explain to you in detail of what it is, but that's the gist of it.
Would that be something we could possibly get a copy of the ordinance to have here in case we get phone calls?
We'll have a copy, and so will the city of Sparta, to where if anybody comes in and, you know, hey, I want to know what this is about, because they may not understand it, and then rather you can give them a copy, or you can refer them to me.
Okay.
Yeah. I can imagine where that steel stuff falling on the road tied up
And, you know, and with it all said, you know, a lot of these cleanup companies and record companies, you know, they're getting $5,000 and $10,000 to sit out there and do the work, and, you know, we're keeping the traffic off their back, and, you know, it's costing us manpower, fuel, you know, patrol hours, so, you know, I just feel that it may help, you know, generate some more revenues for the sheriff's department.
So you're having a second reading this next
Yes,
meeting?
it'll be coming this coming Thursday, at the fiscal court meeting, will be the second reading.
Okay. That's a good idea. Any of y'all got anything, anybody else? Steve, you want to say something?
Yeah, I've got a question on this that you all just passed on this tax bill. You have something on the books right now. Why did we go and pass something else when we've already got something on the books?
We did the first reading of this ordinance before we actually found the ordinance books.
Doesn't make any difference. That doesn't make any difference.
It makes all the
The
difference.
difference is that the difference is the book was on the property. The difference is the ordinance was in place. You've now passed an ordinance overriding the other ordinance. Am I not correct? The question being is,
When I
why?
came in here, Steve, that
No,
book was
no,
supposed to be where I could find it. It was not. And we never did find it until Mike went back here last time and found it.
But why did you proceed and pass this ordinance when there's one on the books?
Because we've got people owing 4 years of taxes. And we're gonna collect it.
It doesn't make any difference. What are you doing with the old ordinance? Something has to be
What do
done
we
with
do
it.
with it, Bishop? Told you what?
It can be repealed, and we will just state.
But you didn't
ordinance
repeal it
number.
before you passed this one, though. That's where the problem arises.
May I say something? Usually when you do an ordinance, you have a repealer clause in your
Right.
ordinance.
Right.
And, you know, I believe I seen that last time.
Yeah, I've got the KRS right in front of me, and it says, quote, that you say ordinance number blank, past blank, relating to taxes is repealed.
Okay, well,
And you don't have to put the entire text
no,
of the
not the
ordinance
repeal,
in there.
not the repeal.
So,
But the problem is if you're
we'll
doing,
have to identify clearly
Which-
what ordinance is being repealed.
what it looks like to me, if you've done this action, the ordinance that was in place is basically void.
Right,
If that's the case.
right.
what-
It's not amended, it's repealed. You're
well,
right.
then you have another problem because once you repealed that, you just did away with the justification for levying a tax.
Because that's what's
the-
in that ordinance.
That tax ordinance covered everything to do with your rate, your assessments, your collections. That ordinance held it all. So you can't repeal something and turn around saying, okay, citizen, you owe us tax, since you repealed it. See what I'm getting at?
In other words, you've done away with your right.
You could have had a severability clause in your ordinance which struck out liens. Okay? But you didn't do that. And with the severability, you could have struck out the liens and kept the rest of the ordinance active.
We adopted this ordinance because we did not have an ordinance at the time because we couldn't find it. We didn't have no kind of ordinance, so what would be the legal procedure of killing that thing and using ours?
We could call it an amendment then, if there are portions that need to be kept. You're saying specifically the percentage of the tax, is that what you're saying? That there's portions?
Well, here's
should
the
be-
thing. You didn't need to repeal it because it has the same provision under liens as you basically talked about tonight.
Mhm.
That was already in the ordinance. You repealed it
I
out of
think
it.
we need the ordinance in front of us. Can you, I mean, good luck with no table of contents, but if.
It's not
you
in
can
there.
find it.
It's in the other filing cabinet in the back office because it's under the older ordinances.
There's more ordinance books than the one?
In the filing cabinet on the right-hand side, second drawer down, there should be a folder marked old ordinances. It's in there.
That would be why we didn't know.
Why weren't they put out in public, in sight for us? Why should it be in a file cabinet?
doesn't really
That's
make
where it
any
was on
difference
tap.
because a new
Like, if
administration
you
comes in.
just done a transition with me, all this could have been avoided. Instead of here's the keys, good luck. Remember that?
Well, at least you didn't have them thrown at you like I did.
Didn't have the what?
Thrown at you.
Well,
That's what happened to me. They threw
The,
them at
the
me.
problem I'm saying is, since you've passed this, you have now done away with the old law giving you the right to tax any individual within the city limits. It's plain and simple. I'll be honest with you, I went over this with somebody from the State Attorney General's office. And that's where the conclusion they came to.
Well, if right now, there's nothing in the first ordinance that states anything about collecting taxes,
Tell me one more time.
It's
then they
in a-
wouldn't be in
It's in a
conflict,
file folder,
right?
more old ordinances.
It's a complete ordinance. The problem is,
That's-
they didn't
second
separate the
drawer?
ordinance into different
Second drawer?
categories.
Should be second.
It made it as a whole ordinance, which is what somewhat
Well,
what
if
you're
there's
doing.
nothing in conflict, then this is just an enforcement ordinance. And I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna make a legal call about it until I see
Right, right, I
what's
understand
dug
that.
up from the past.
And all I know is what I read in that ordinance 3 years ago, whenever it was when I read it, in my memory. So
Yeah,
consequently, I can't tell you 100%,
Right.
but what I'm trying to do is say, you know what, let's make sure before we get down the road and somebody says, you know what, I ain't paying you. Prime
Sure.
example is out here on this end of the city. I'm not paying you because of
Well,
this.
yeah, we need to make it right. We need to look at what this is.
Right.
I mean,
There's about
we
four or five folders that says old ordinances on it.
4 or 5 files back there.
Some of them could be as thick as this.
And that's a real problem.
Does Mike have the permission to go back there and pull it for you? Hey, I'm trying to make it easy here. I'm really trying to
Yeah,
make
if you
it
know where
easy.
they're at.
I really am.
See, I know we have it because we sent a copy up to Revenue Cabinet.
There's a recommendation in here that a city looks at their ordinances every 5 years, looks what's on the books, repeals what is no longer needed.
Absolutely.
Amends and, throws things out that we won't need. So I think we definitely need to do that. And we need to find the myriad of places where these ordinances are hidden.
We don't have to, if there's an ordinance in place, we don't have to do away with that ordinance. We can just amend it
amended.
to what we need, right? We don't have to, the one that's already in place, we don't have to do away with that completely, do we?
No, not necessarily.
I didn't think so.
Your choices are amended.
But the issue is you've already passed it. You haven't amended anything, you've already passed it.
Right. And if
That's where the issue is, and that's why I
If there's no
objected.
conflict,
Then it's fine.
Then,
But if there's a conflict, then there's a problem.
right. So, Mayor, it's my recommendation that we look at all of these ordinances, not just this one. And that we say whether this is an amendment or a repeal, like you're saying. And there possibly might not be a conflict at all. So we're gonna have to determine where we stand
But
once it's found.
If I'm not mistaken, I sent you a copy of that ordinance, even though it's marked unofficial. The official copy is back there. Because I scanned it and sent it to the
Oh,
state.
it's on the CD?
Yes,
Okay.
it's on,
The unofficial
Yeah, 'cause-
copy?
should be looking all day for that.
Okay,
If not, I can send you another one.
okay.
So I'm just saying,
If we had an ordinance to do liens, how come they weren't ever enforced?
we did do it before.
Oh, I've never seen it happen.
Well,
3 years.
we done it in the past, before you were here. Our biggest problem was we would file a lien, and we still wouldn't get the money until they sold the property.
Right, and that's how it works.
Well,
The city,
that's right.
the city was basically out of money. If we had to go down and file 10 liens against 10 properties, that's what, $25 a property? That's $250 the city had to come up with.
Right, but there's been some properties sold
Yeah,
here.
there has been,
That
but-
were no liens, and they were able to sell, and now,
But the amount of
who's
properties
responsible
we-
for those taxes now?
Well, property owner, period. That's the way it was put to
The
me.
new property owner isn't gonna pay it.
Well, then he has a problem because you can still put the lien on the property.
Were the tax amounts that were owed, or were they so negligible
They were-
that
the
you
amounts-
couldn't justify?
Some of the amounts wasn't even worth 5 cents.
Right.
It's just, we're talking about $10, $20.
Right, so the lien would cost
Yeah.
more than what you would get back.
You know, most people that own the tax bill of over $100, they would pay it because they know the process. Other than some of the ones that are so,
Yeah.
I don't know the best word to use, just stubborn.
Right.
And we would try to look for other means instead of going through the lien process.
So you got businesses here right now, and you know as well as I do, Mike, owes thousands of dollars and will not pay it. They got more money than God. But what we gonna do, just let them ride?
It's up to you what you do, not me.
That's why we're doing this.
Well,
We're in the process.
Again, you had it in there. You had it in the original ordinance. Do it.
What we'll do is, we can keep this ordinance and amend, read everyone and see what you want to do, or how you want.
Like I said, it'd be easier for me to send it back to you.
Before we take the paper.
Usually gonna be all night looking through all this. Because I'll tell you, some of these older ordinances are so bad and faded, it's hard to read them.
Right. Well, it's a good thing because, you know, this has come to light, and we do need to sit down with these old ordinances and bind them all together and throw out everything else, and look at them, because some of them probably shouldn't apply to the modern day. So some of them probably need to be repealed.
Do we make a motion to table this until, before it's published, until everything is correct?
Yes, I think so. Now that this has come to light, that would be my recommendation.
Table, putting it in the paper.
Right,
Yeah.
and in the second reading, really. So
Well,
we
we
would
done
be.
voted on it. I mean, it's
Right.
May I make a suggestion?
It's,
I think you just need a motion to table it for now.
Since she's already voted on it, the best way to basically do away with it right now is the mayor veto it. With
Mayor
his-
what?
The mayor would
Mayor veto it.
Veto it with his objection of why this is not the proper time to pass it. The only way,
Did we start over with the first reading and second reading if we wanna do it again? Is that how that works?
correct.
Or that or amend the old one,
He
right?
veto it, sends it back to council with his objections. If they don't override it, it stands, the ordinance is gone.
what do you suggest? You're an attorney.
well, in light of the fact that there is something out there that we don't know about, I think so. I think we need to, because in essence, whatever we pass, it should have the clause in front that would say this is an amendment or this is repeal. And since there is something else out there that we don't know, maybe it's not a conflict at all. I don't know, but without reading it, I wouldn't know.
Should we just table it then?
Or should we let Jim be?
Yeah, I think
I
you
would
should let
think-
Jim veto it until you find out.
Because
There's something, I don't know if that's.
Well, I believe the
it's
one
an
I,
ordinance from 1963.
that's not it.
Ordinance making the tax levy for the year of 1963 and fixing the penalty for failure to pay same.
The one I believe I have is about 16 pages long.
So,
So these ordinances aren't in the ordinance books that you showed us last month,
Those are in
right?
the filing cabinet as I found them.
Well, the best thing we can do is just let Jim veto it and leave it alone until Alicia can straighten it out.
right,
And then once you know what we got, then we can maybe amend to what we have
right.
instead of pushing for a new one.
Either that or we can find whatever ordinance is supposed to be on the books. And, I mean, there's different arguments you can make. If it's not back there in the ordinance book, if there's a failure to
It had to
The
be
state
a-
taxation department can give you a copy of it.
I'm sorry?
Kentucky Revenue can give you a copy of it.
Of the
It'll
Glencoe
probably take
ordinance?
them 3 months, but I mean, there has to be a copy of that filed with the revenue cabinet.
I guess there is that chance that there's not a conflict with what was just passed. So I don't know if maybe we could, if we find that there's a conflict, that the mayor could veto it at the next meeting?
Well, he can't do that after the next meeting.
Yeah.
You're saying it has to be.
It has
Because
to
he
be done
only
between now and
has
next
10
meeting.
days. 10
Okay,
days. If you don't veto it within 10 days, it automatically becomes law.
okay.
So can we take a motion to table it and give us 10 days to find
But your 10 days started already.
I
the, 10 days
suggest,
what?
It started already.
as a matter of
When
public
did it
record,
start?
As soon as he passed, as soon as it passed, it
Let him
started.
find it.
as a matter of public record, if the mayor effects a veto within 10 days from the date of this meeting, does he have to have a special call? So is it,
No,
No.
it would come up to the next council meeting. There where council would have the right to overturn his veto or leave it.
Well, how about we get this disc that you're talking about for her, and then whatever we find out, we just have a special meeting and do what it is we gotta do, instead of waiting until next month.
But
Okay.
if there's a conflict within 10 days, you got trouble.
Well,
What
that's what I'm
Mr.
saying,
Murphy
if
was
he's
referring
got
to.
this disc at home, if he sends it to her, they can look it over, and then we can do another special meeting before the 10 days.
Before the 10 days would
Yeah,
be
it
the
had to be,
meeting.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say, before the 10
Okay,
days.
Yeah, what Mr. Murphy was speaking about, the mayor may veto the ordinance by returning it to the legislative body unsigned with a statement of the reasons for the veto within 10 days of receiving it. So, today would be the day you received it, so we would start running 10 days.
How long would it take you, Mike, to get her that CD or disc or whatever it is?
I'll just go ahead and send the ordinance to her. I can email it.
And then, what about the problem that it's not an official,
Well, like I said,
Copy.
the official copy is here. It's in the filing cabinet because I had to have something to send to the state. I know it's here. It's in that filing cabinet back there.
okay,
It's not something that just, I took and sent the whole thing to the state. You never send the state the original.
right,
You never get it back.
right.
So you're saying it's here
It's
somewhere?
here. It's here in that filing cabinet. I had to find it to send it to satisfy the state.
Legally, that poses a problem that we don't have a signed
Well, it's,
paper that's accessible to the public and accessible to us when we're voting on law.
And then you bring up another can of worms. If there's not a signed paper here or anything, then the city never had legal rights to tax any property within the city. So that's what I was trying to say earlier, that this ordinance, without investigating past ordinance, makes everything else go away. And that includes any properties that owe taxes from this day.
So you're saying people that own 3 or 4 years don't have to pay?
That's exactly right.
Well, I don't believe that.
I mean, if the people haven't been paying, you have to enforce something somewhere to start the ball rolling.
Absolutely. I don't disagree with that at all. The problem is, if you're saying, and she's saying that we don't have an official ordinance that's signed by anybody, and we're calling that basically a non-legal instrument, then the city has no right to tax anybody without the ordinance in place, because you cannot justify what rates or anything else according to city charters, plain and simple.
Well, if I may, Jim, let me ask this. Here we are in October. I'll ask you, Mr. Murphy, would you now do a transition with the mayor so we can know what we're doing here and show us where everything's at? I mean, because this is going to happen every month if we don't do the transition and give us a chance to know. I mean, you had 14 years to know what you were doing.
well, let me
It's
give you
fresh.
an idea what I did for the first 3 months of my job. The first 3 months, I spent in that office, going through all the books that the city had. I started reading everything. The important stuff that I put down, the check-in pit. That's what I did. for the first 3 months. And if I wasn't sure, I want the outside people to give me the answers of where to look.
And he's on the phone all the time, CLC.
That's what I've been doing since I've been in here, going to outside people.
One last question to you.
Yes.
The problem all lies down because the ordinance book was not in sight, correct?
Well, we didn't even know where it was at. We couldn't
But
find
there's
it.
a KRS number, a law, stating it's supposed to be in sight, taking office, am I
Right.
correct?
Yes.
Now, this created the whole problem. What can we do about that?
What do you consider in sight, though? There goes
It's in
again,
sight, supposed to be
there goes
visible.
again, broad spectrum of the law. What do you consider in sight? Is it
It
in
says
the
it
office?
should be laying in
That's
there
inside.
in a binded book where I can reach and get it,
Well,
either one of us.
and
And
mark
it wasn't.
But
We
am I
couldn't even
not,
find it.
am I
And the
not
public.
right?
And the public.
Yeah, and the public,
Do I now?
and the public. I mean,
Well, the problem is with the public is, this office is, we don't have hours, we don't have an office I can walk into. You don't have a table set out here that
All you gotta do is
I can
request
walk
it.
in, do an ordinance.
I've asked the question, I'm waiting on an answer.
I mean,
What can be done? Is there anything to be done about that legally?
no.
It's caused us problems.
No, I've had enough.
What do you
I can see
suggest?
this is coming down to blame me again. That's what this is
No,
coming down.
no, it's,
No,
I mean, you've
I've
helped us
had
last
enough.
month and you're helping us this month. We're just asking, I'm asking, will
No.
you just go ahead and do the
I
transition
just-
that helps us out?
I just had enough because I've done my job here. I looked for the books. It took me 2 minutes to find the
But you knew
book.
where it was
You knew
at.
where it was at, that's all I'm asking if you'll do that now with the rest of this stuff.
All you have to do is go back there and open the book up and start reading. You will learn what it is.
So then your answer is no, you won't help us with it.
Well, I'm not going to come up here and get blamed for everything that's supposedly missing. And that's what's coming down to again. Every time I come up here, I get accused of something. I'm getting tired of it. So, gentlemen, you all have a wonderful day.
What do you suggest we do this year?
The problem being is, he's now left you in a situation of where, unfortunately, our clerk, and I know she's got enough on her table, has to go through everything in here, because if there's a can of worms opened up every time you do something, then sooner or later, somebody's gonna step
I'm gonna
up.
guarantee you one thing, the people comes in behind me, they won't have that problem, cause I'll do a transition and he wouldn't. And he knows
Number
good and
one,
well I'm telling
number
the
one, you
truth.
don't have to talk to me like that.
Yes, it is worth talking about. Look
No,
what
I'm
we've
saying
done this
the way. I'm saying the way. You're
He
not
said there
listening
was
to me.
4 folders back there.
I'm trying to
I
help
found
you out
4
as much as
folders.
I can. Of
You
the
don't know
knowledge
where
I
they're at
have.
either.
No, I don't know where they're at, but I know, I'm aware of them, and the reason I know I'm aware of them is because I asked to see them about 3 years ago. We went through some
We were
similar
aware
college.
there was an ordinance book here somewhere, Steve, but we couldn't find it. We looked.
They should all really be in the same place. They shouldn't be
Absolutely.
scattered all over.
I don't disagree with that at all. The file cabinets should be in 100% order. There's no reason they shouldn't be. We paid a clerk before that should have filed everything correctly. Am I not right?
Absolutely.
And
That's
it
the law.
wasn't done, but unfortunately, it's left to the city council the way it is right now. And somewhere along the line, all these cans of worms have to be opened up and said, okay, we're gonna, like you just said, you're either gonna have to repeal it, or you have to accept it the way it is. And I knew tonight coming in here, this is what was gonna happen, because somebody did bother to walk in there and give it to you, like they should have. You know, I feel sorry for all of you, but I just want to see things done right around here. I mean, I've lived here 15 years. Most of you lived here all your life.
You know the whole problem's just like I do.
And-
He did not transit, he wouldn't do nothing, and
That's-
he's still seeing the same way, storm out. So let him go, we'll find it.
If I'm
I
wrong,
understand that.
just to answer Lisa's question, is that with the law stating that it has to be in sight and on file, accessible to anybody, to my knowledge, there is no penalty phase to that. There's no fine.
Exactly.
There's no fine from an administration, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
If there was any public or any, consequences on violation of this, there would not be, it would be a violation only. So there's no penalty phase with that. Basically, it just says that, any ordinance enforced in the city, then they can face a civil action from anybody that had an ordinance enforced on them.
As long as it's in the building, it's here.
If it's here, that's fine. But her question was, what could be done legally, and there's no penalty phase to this, other than a civil action, that if just subsequently, if you filed a ordinance against somebody and you put a tax lien on their property for $5,000, then they can turn around and sue you in a civil court because you violated what that law said, that it has to be on file here, accessible to me, that would open you up for civil litigation, not criminal.
Okay.
So you couldn't go after any previous administration, mayor, or anything.
It just boils down to bad ethics, deal on his part, not transition, that's all it is. I mean, and we just leave it live because we can't do nothing about it now, except try to get to the bottom of it.
Well, then maybe we should go ahead and just go ahead and veto and start all over and do.
Well, here's the thing, is there's some things that's going on, and we need to be able to put liens on properties now. That's the only thing. Or else the city is not gonna get there.
We can't. I mean, until this is straightened out, we can't.
Because if you veto now, you can go back to the old ordinance.
You can go back to the old law as it
Where's
says.
that? He said there was 4, back there, I went and got 4.
Again, I'm not trying to put anything on you, and you know, if you're like me, I'm busy as can be, so I can't help you back here.
If it was,
But it's left to you, it
if I
really
was in
is.
your position, and if I'm wrong, if I'm overstepping, but Ms. Alicia, tell me, but if it was me and I was you, I would issue a formal subpoena due castigum requesting all records that Mike may have had previous to your administration.
Absolutely.
Would that be a legal way for the disc that he's saying that he has this ordinance on, to, if he could release a copy of it?
He has provided that disc to us.
Okay.
But the problem is, it says unofficial copy on the top of each page, and nothing is signed.
Nothing's
And
legal.
And so somewhere, he's saying
Okay,
that somewhere
it's
in
the
this
unofficial
building
copy.
is the official signed copy.
And what
So-
Steve is saying, that might not be an official signed copy back there. Nobody ever signed it.
Well, maybe somewhere to start.
Put it into law.
Yeah.
That's
Well, that's
what
what we're in the process.
that's what we were gonna work on doing.
My question is mainly though, is why now? He's had all the 14 years to get the experience and he's done a bang-up job for most of them years, a bang-up job. But why now? Are we gonna come in and criticize everything we do and now start trying to do the right thing? That's insanity to me. All that is where he said for years he was going to sit out here and be a problem. I give him a gold medal for it because he has been, and that's wrong. Why come in here and hold everything up for the people of this city? If you ever did care for this city, why would you start doing that now? I mean, this is ridiculous. We're wasting so much time doing this.
Oh, I don't
But-
disagree with you at all.
Things should have been done. I asked him if he would do it now. Just do the transition
I
now.
asked him too.
But to come in here and just stir the pot every month, I mean, I don't know what we can do legally. I mean, maybe we should find a way to stop certain people from coming in. I don't know if we can even do that, but this is trouble every month.
We sound like a bunch of little children.
We do, but who's put us all in the same part?
This is an adult meeting, and, you know, we already know where we're at with this, so Jim needs to decide, you know, what are we gonna do?
Should I veto Alicia and start over, or what should we do? I don't even know what their version says, but I like our version. But I don't know what, we can even find theirs, and he won't show it to us, so what do we do?
Well, you've got 10 days to veto it. So if we want to take the 10 days to try to find what's out there and see if there is a conflict, and then you can veto it at that time. That's what I
Now,
think.
do we have to call a special meeting with veto?
No,
No.
no. It would be at the next meeting that you all could actually override his veto. You would have a vote go around again, or you would accept his veto.
What the law says is that the mayor has to approve all ordinances. And so when Veronica types up the ordinance, which is already typed, there should be a place on the bottom for the mayor to sign,
Right.
which is what we were talking about before, that we have an unofficial copy where the mayor hasn't signed previous ordinances. So my concern is, are these ordinances even legal? I don't know.
Because they're not signed.
Right, they're not signed, but
What did he say about official copies and unofficial?
official copies are signed by the mayor, which
Okay, he said never send somebody, so does that mean they're here?
I think Mr. Murphy's saying that there's official copies that are somewhere back here, but we just don't know where they are, I guess. But the mayor would have to sign the ordinance that we just voted on and was passed. Now, if he chooses not to sign it within 10 days, that's in effect vetoing what was done here today. And
Oh, in
so-
other words, it'd be automatic veto.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Yeah, within 10 days.
Whose job is it to actually check on all these records after being here for 10 months and not going through a file cabinet to find them to begin with?
Because they're
If they're
scattered all
in
over
this
the building.
building, then, I mean, whose job is it?
Well, what the law says is there's supposed to be one bound book, or I guess there could be volumes of ordinance books that,
This is not a bound book. This is not
And
a
they're two separate
legally
groups.
binding book.
But here comes the
But
it
that's
should be
what I'm
signed by
saying.
the mayor.
Because it's not bound, does that mean it's not legal?
Well,
No,
we couldn't
no.
find it. You're supposed to be able to walk in here and
should
get
be
it.
But what he's
But
saying is,
what
what
I'm
Mark's saying,
saying
who is
is
supposed
the
to go through
file
and find
cabinets
them?
and
I
everything
mean,
is
so we don't
here.
have this again.
He said everything as far as insurance policies, taxes, the whole 9 yards are in these file cabinets. Why ain't somebody opened them up?
We
To
have,
find it.
Mark, we've opened all kind. Go back there and look at it. You make heads
Oh,
or
I
tails out of it.
understand they,
He
they
knows,
might be.
he's the
a-
only one that knew anything in this bit. His council never knew a thing. Murphy had it right here and he didn't tell nobody that. He didn't want you to know.
There's
You wouldn't- and you
boxes,
know that. You've been
There-
around here long enough.
there's 4
I
file
understand
cabinets
that.
in there,
That's
and
what I'm
boxes
saying,
and
though.
boxes stacked up on, and then even in that other office, I tried cleaning it, and, I mean, the stuff, it's just crazy, the stuff that's back there, that you, it's, nothing's marked, you have no idea what anything is. So,
Well,
I mean,
boys
the man-
down.
Well, I mean, the man's actually sitting here saying when he came into office 14 days ago, he had the keys through at him. He found the file cabinets in the same way. And, I
So he's
mean,
gonna
he
return to do the
actually,
same thing.
but
we
that's what
had
I'm
14
saying.
years
He
to
had-
learn all this, we've been here 10 months.
That's
So if
what-
a-
That's what I'm saying. But how many times them file cabinets been went?
Well, it
went
boils
through
down
in
to
the
this,
last 10
if
months?
a resident comes in and asks for a copy of that ordinance, we have so many days to turn it over, right?
We have 3.
3?
Yeah, 3.
So how are we gonna do that?
We've already had requests for it, and
What happens if you don't produce
Comes
the
illegal.
document in 3
It
days?
gets turned over to the State Attorney General's office. The State Attorney General's office in turn does an investigation and then can legally come down on the city.
So I'm saying it
I
seems
waited
like
until
that's
the
what
month,
happened.
Murphy sent me a registered letter. He wanted this, that, the minutes and all this.
Yeah,
She went there back in 5 minutes, on our watch. 5 minutes she had it and I had it here and I called him, come up and get it. He sent the cop back up here and said he would do it, maybe, maybe not. It's on his turn. So he didn't show up. So we put him back. But what are you gonna do? I mean, well, what has he got against me? I don't know, but he just wants to throw a monkey wrench in everything we do. And we're trying to do good stuff around here. I mean, we're.
I don't think he's actually got anything against you or anybody else.
Well,
I
he
think
don't want
it's
nobody in his
actually-
chair but him.
I think
Why
it's
did he
actually
run?
when he walks in this building, it's actually chaos that starts over everything. Every time he tries to explain something, it's chaos. Or somebody throws up in his face that he stole money from the city and everything. It's just a thing that goes on and on and on. I think all of you ought to get together, have a little meeting or something, and try to work out your differences.
And he'll do just like he did tonight, run out the door. I mean, how many times
No,
he
I
got
don't
up,
think
how
he
many
would.
times he got up, marked out this chair, and run outside, say the heck with all of you, while council's in session? How many times?
I mean, I'm not sitting here taking up for anybody, I'm just saying, y'all ought to sit down and have a meeting together and try to work out all the differences.
What do you suggest we do with this? Just
I have
let
something
it
I
go?
want to say real quick before she does. I think we can look back on woulda, couldas, and shouldas, and it's not gonna help us at all. We
No,
can
it
just
ain't.
keep digging backwards all we want.
I
We
agree.
need to look at this day forward, find the ordinances, do what we gotta do and move forward. Quit talking about, he should've done this, they should've done that. It's us now. It's our butts on the line. It's not
Absolutely.
him.
And every time we try to do something,
Don't
He
worry
comes
about
out
it.
with
It's us.
What
Don't
thing?
worry about it.
Well,
It's
that's
us.
what-
it's gonna fall on us anyway.
The only thing is we need to be able to place liens on properties today. I mean, we need to be able to do it.
I'm
Now.
not saying the one thing, I'm saying
Or the
everything.
city's going to lose.
This whole city and everything
But-
needs to worry about what's happening from this day on, or from January 1st on. We're in the 10th month, and we're still digging in 2009.
But the
We
city
need
will
to stop
still
it.
lose if you enforce that, because.
I understand that, but we need.
And I understand what you're
ordinance.
saying. I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying.
There,
And
I mean,
I mean, I voted for the
people
ordinance,
know
but
they
what
gotta
I'm
pay their
saying is,
taxes
instead of
and-
sitting here talking about he's against us, let's talk about the veto, let's maybe do the veto, let's do that. Let's not waste our time with the past crap,
And find the ordinance and find out
Right.
what the difference is, get it taken care of and move on.
because it doesn't matter what happened. What
Right.
matters is what happens now.
Yeah, because I don't want to try to enforce something when it's already on the books and something's
Well, we
missing.
want to do it the right way, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, let's just go ahead, find the old ordinance, let's find the ordinance, compare it with this one, see if there's any difference, and move on with
I
it.
say
Well,
we
actually,
have
with the thing Mr. Neal was talking about there, whatever you call that, would that force him to have to show us all the records in that we got?
Subpoena Duke was nothing more than a subpoena issued by the clerk to someone asking them to turn over all past, previous records. I mean, it's just something that the clerk over at the Pam McIntyre can issue. It's just asking them to turn over past and previous records that may have been, you know, like this disc, even though I didn't know that he'd already sent a copy of the disc. You know, it would
Didn't he tell you that one was his personal disc, you couldn't have it or something? Or didn't he have another one?
No, he just said that it's an unofficial copy.
But see, that's what he's saying,
Would-
it's
would
an
that
unofficial
make him
copy,
show us here
but the
then?
original is
I
back
don't
here in the
know.
file
I mean,
cabinet.
that's just basically any documentation that he has.
No, not a disc.
Well,
He's
here's,
saying that he gave her the unofficial copy of the disc.
and he
He's
said
saying
the
the
officials are
official
here.
records are back here in
He
the
said in
file
the
cabinet.
second file cabinet, here's. Documents illegal.
Are they illegal?
If the documents were just supposed to be the record of the cities, legally, were they supposed to be signed by, what the law said?
The
Not
law,
what someone else says, but what the law says.
the law just says that it needs to be signed by the mayor in order to be approved. And so tonight, there was a vote taken. It is not approved, it is not law until certain things happen. One being that the mayor signs it within 10 days. The other that it is published both here in an ordinance book that is accessible to us and you as the public. And that all has to be done for it to be law. Does that make sense?
Well, the way I see it, I mean, I've been paying taxes in this city for 45 years. And the way I see it is that if it's not legal,
Don't exist.
you know,
For your
I mean, we
taxes,
should go by the law, what the law said,
For taxes,
what our Constitution
This,
says.
this ordinance is not collecting taxes, even though we've got people owed 4 years back. It's not to collect taxes, it's to put a lien on them, because if they sell it, we'll get the taxes. They cannot sell it without paying them taxes. But you ain't got a lien on that place, they can't. It's done happen in this town. Several
But
times.
our laws, the laws of
Murphy
the
said
city are
he-
made in the ordinance.
The laws of the city are...
City are by ordinance.
Yes, ma'am.
But the city is obligated to obey the state laws. Okay, they make up the municipal laws. Okay, those laws are the guidelines. If the city of Glencoe wants a law separate from the county, state, then they draw up an ordinance,
They enacted them.
which is then voted on by the elected officials
Right, the council.
and then signed
Yes,
to
ma'am.
verify its legal thing. Now, I feel that we can't go by anything other than the legal matters. And if we have all these other unsigned copies, which are illegal, in my view,
Well, they're null and void.
They're null and void, and the bad thing is,
they had no legal strength. So the city of Glencoe, if the records, what was the records prior to Mr. Murphy's?
A lot of handwritten, I've been back here several days trying to go
I
through
mean, do you
this.
have records prior to his service?
Yeah, all handwritten.
And were they legal,
63.
signed by past
when he came in, I guess he would look at him and tell him, I don't know, that was
This is not an ordinance. This is signed by the James Ford judge.
But advice from the Attorney General, also the legal, is that what we call it? We can come up with the legal, I mean, we have an attorney, she's legally our attorney. She has advised the city to what is right.
Yeah, that's why I'm gonna take her advice.
See, here's one from,
I mean, she received her certification as a legal attorney.
That's why she gets $10,000 a week for it.
In fact, I think she's the only one here that's received that, right?
ordinance, see, here's one, ordinance number 5 from
So hearsay does not pass a law, am I right?
1962, and
1962.
yeah. There, and see, this one isn't even signed. There's no signatures on this at all.
Mr. Mayor, may I
Yes,
ask a point of clarification for my story? Because right now my head's fairly well spinning, and I think I understand legal matters pretty well. The prior ordinance that seems to be in discussion, did that establish the right of the city to establish liens, or did it establish a tax rate?
Both.
Okay, yeah.
Because the ordinance that you voted on this evening, if I understand correctly, established the power of the city to affect liens, did not affect tax rates in any way.
Correct.
Right, it don't affect the rates at all.
Right.
But these rates hadn't changed in 20 years or longer.
Therefore, I'm going to continue to ask the question, to make sure my story is clear, is there truly a conflict?
You wouldn't know until you
We
see
don't,
the
we
old
don't know
ordinance.
until we find
Until you
out.
find out what the wording of the prior ordinance is.
Right.
Well, I was thinking, if it is, we do find that ordinance, is there any way that we can repeal that ordinance and vote ours in, or combine them, or what?
Yeah, we can
Yes,
amend
you can
it.
do that.
Huh?
We can amend it,
Right.
and, yeah.
That's
we-
exactly it. Would want to amend it because there's the right to tax property in the other one. As he just said, this one doesn't give you the right to tax, it just gives you the right to put a lien on it. The other ordinance, of what I remember, again, this has been 3-4 years ago, gave the city the right to tax real property, being real estate and whatnot. But that's where the problem is. If you repeal the other ordinance in lieu of this, then you've taken away the city's right to tax anything.
But we didn't repeal it.
We did.
That's not what I'm saying. Bear with me a minute. The other problem is if you find this ordinance and you can't trace it back somewhere, that what we consider a legal ordinance, then there's a real mess within the city. Am I not right?
He said that you think we ought to get what Josh said and make him come up, what would he have to do, come up here and find it, or turn it over to us? I mean,
Basically, the spending due curriculum is just basically anything that's in his possession that pertains to the city.
They don't
And
have to be in
documentation.
possession.
I'm not sure.
That's the way I understood that,
You know,
because he's saying it's in the building, not in his possession.
But he's actually saying he gave her this, and the originals is here in the building. They're in the file cabinet somewhere.
Well, we've all been searching. I know Rick has, I have, Alicia has, Jim has, Veronica has. We've searched and searched.
I think
Didn't take that
somewhere
many to find something.
within the state, there's, and
all right, let's move on. We got 10 days. If we don't come up with something in 10 days, it's automatically repealed. Right?
Right.
We don't have to have a special meeting.
No,
He
he
just
just
doesn't sign it.
effectively.
10 days run out and it's vetoed.
Right.
If
So-
we can't come up with something between here and now 10 days.
Right.
If we do, what do we do? Have a special meeting?
If we come up with the ordinance.
Well,
It
if we
depends
find
on-
this thing,
It depends on what the ordinance says.
yeah, what it says.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just, we can't assume anything.
What are you doing in the next 40 hours?
Make your beck
Can
and
I-
call, Mr. Mayor.
now I've stirred up a real big mess. Can I ask one more question? Are we gonna fill these ditches back here?
I'm sorry?
Are we gonna fill these ditches back here that have all caved in? Back here?
Fill the ditch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
The three
they're all
of them?
filled in.
No, they're not.
They're sinking.
They're sinking.
I just talked with the chief, and what we're gonna do, they're gonna tear this section of grass out here up to this pole.
Yeah, I knew they weren't.
So all that earth is, while they got the backhoe, is gonna come back up.
It'll come
here
back and
fill
smooth
this
it down.
up.
Oh, I
Right.
see what, I
Yeah.
didn't understand what you said.
Yeah, you know.
No, I mean, I was up there looking at that
Yeah.
today, because I was gonna ask Juju about it.
Well, I was gonna cut grass, I wasn't gonna cut grass and cut my quick.
Right.
Well, what we're gonna do, move on, Josh has gotta go out and, make some calls. I'm saying, so we're gonna have to adjourn. What we need to do is let this thing, I guess, just let it go right now, and if we don't come up with something within 10 days, it's automatically vetoed, and we'll start over again. I don't know what we're gonna do, I guess try to find that.
Well, I'll just have to.
He told you that, did you get them all out of that drawer? It's not in that drawer.
I don't
I guess we just have to come up here and start.
Well, wait, I'm sorry. Alicia,
Yes.
your name. Now, whether this goes through or not, we still have the right to collect delinquent taxes. Whether we put the liens on them or not, we still have the right, if property sell or whatever, we go to court and say, well, these taxes were owed, whether we put a lien on them or not. Wouldn't we still be due legally to be able to collect them past taxes? Whether this goes or doesn't?
She sent out, if you remember a couple months ago, she sent out all these letters to these delinquent tax holders. She got some in. The store up here sent, it's way up there, 1,800 or something. They sent theirs in. And she collected several of them, which was several of them. Right now, we got $19,864 out on taxes that hadn't been paid. Some of them 4 years old. The oldest one was what we went through, 4 years old. Some of them 2 years old, some of them 3.
Huh?
Some of them
every
big
year.
Send the
business.
second notice, final notice.
Well, that was their final
That was
notice.
final,
It was,
okay.
it was a letter saying that, you know, they need, and we're willing to work with people. If they want to make payment arrangements, I will take
Yeah.
payment arrangements.
And that was in the letter also.
Yeah, that was in the letter also, letting them know we make payment arrangements. We're willing to help the people as much as possible. And if not, then a lien was gonna be placed, and that's been 3 months ago. So who paid is the ones that are gonna pay, the rest of them aren't.
Yeah, they even had really opportunity to make payments.
Yes.
She put that in a letter and everything.
File a lien.
I mean, it ain't fair for this guy to have to pay his taxes.
That's what
This guy right here is sliding
File a
by.
lien.
You can't file a lien until this ordinance passes.
Well, if you have an ordinance on the books, you can file a lien.
Well, I
But you
mean,
gotta
once we
have-
find out what it
But you
has.
better know what that ordinance is.
Okay. I need a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you for coming, Josh. Good to see you walking around, my brother.